Kerry Madsen joins the show this week to detail what went into going racing with High Limit this year, working with his new crew chief Ty Wolfgang, and how much the sport of sprint car racing has changed. All of that and more on this week's episode of the High Limit Room. Before we get to Kerry Madsen, we first need to talk about high roller Tyler Courtney, who went to victory lane not once, but twice in his return to racing at the Volusia Speedway Park last weekend with the American Sprint Car Series in 360 action. It was Sunshine's first race behind the wheel in 7 months after his terrible crash at the Eldora Speedway during the Joker's Jackpot, and he made it look like he did not miss a beat, winning from 6th and winning from the 3rd position over a field of 40 plus cars in the 360 division down there in Florida. Nice job, Sunshine. We are so proud of you, man, to come back and be able to get right back to victory lane. And as my fellow broadcast partner there for a couple races, it was so cool to see that happen. So Tyler, good job, and hopefully Sunshine can complete the hat trick and get all 3 wins down there. As of this recording, we don't know exactly when that's going to happen, if he makes it happen or not, but good luck to Tyler, and nice job over the weekend. Don't forget to pick up your FloRacing subscription here soon, as all of the racing is about to get kicked off down in Florida. Of course, we've got the dirt late models with the Luke Soil Late Model Dirt Series. We've got High Limit Racing starting the second weekend of March, and USAC Sprint Cars will be in action down in Florida during the month of February. Of course, there is so much more racing going on Flo, but right now is the time to get your subscription before the season gets kicked into full gear. The newest high roller for 2026 joins us now. It's the Madman, Kerry Madsen. All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. We have one of our newest high rollers for the 2026 season joining us this week. Of course, we are talking about the Madman, Kerry Madsen. Kerry, thank you for joining us here on the show this week. We're excited to catch up with you and talk to you about the 2026 season coming up. We were just talking about before we went live here how cold it is around the country. Is it that bad in Knoxville right now? Because I'll tell you, there's about, 2 feet of snow sitting around where I am right now. What's it like over in Knoxville right now?
It's just like super cold. Actually, weirdly, there's no snow on the ground, but it is just super cold. Like, sweatshirts and jackets, and I don't know. Just got back from Australia on Tuesday, so it's a bit of an adjustment, but, I don't know. As long as you stay warm, it's not too bad.
Yeah, Tony and I just got back from Australia, obviously, a couple weeks ago, and it was tough to go from Perth to back over here where the temperature was a complete 180. But this year, obviously, something new for you, going to be back on the road full time. It's been a few years since you ran an entire national touring schedule. What's the excitement level for you and Tony Vermeer and Ty Wolfgang going into 2026?
Obviously trepidatious, nervous, but, we're super optimistic because I just feel like Ty's doing a great job with the preparation. And, it sounds like I think they've had a fantastic off season and done a lot of hard work. So I'm kind of really looking forward to hitting the ground running.
Kerry, I like how you just, kind of brought up Ty Wolfgang's involvement as the crew chief and you hit on his preparation, right? And this is going to sound like a really big, probably kind of crazy question to answer. So forgive me for the abstractness here, but I'm spending the week in Charlotte, North Carolina with a buddy who works for Penske on their IndyCar program. And I am hit in the face all the time with how much of a team sport racing is. You grow up as a kid, and you watch the cars go around the track, and you think, wow, that's Kerry Madsen out there in the 55, man, and he's doing it. It's all him. But it's not. Can you talk at all, at least a little bit, and just kind of tell people at home the amount of hard work that goes in on the driver's part, on the crew chief's part, on everybody's part?
You're right. And I think we all underestimate it, and I've underestimated it. But, as racing gets bigger and as sprint car racing catches up and, it's just obviously growing, there's no shortcuts anymore. I mean, there's no, we can maybe have a guy less here, or we can start a little later, or just no shortcuts. There's so many great teams out there now and so many talented people working on these race cars that I just can't emphasize enough how having good people in a race car team now is the difference between not only winning, but just even running good anymore.
Well, Kerry, obviously you've been around a long time, have won a lot of big races and won some championships at Knoxville and whatnot as well. But this year, we mentioned it already, you are going to be full-time with High Limit. A few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, Tony Vermeer had put on Facebook that, you know, you guys were going to be trying to figure out which series you wanted to run. Was it going to be the Outlaws? Was it going to be High Limit? And that was kind of a waiting period for everybody to find out what exactly your guys' plans were. And eventually you do settle on racing with High Limit this year. What went into the decision-making process, if you can share those details about, why that changed or why, Tony did go, he was at High Limit, then he went to the Outlaws and then now back to High Limit. So
Yep.
What went into that decision-making process there?
To be honest, Chase, I'm not really sure. I was just, honestly, with Ty coming aboard, I knew we were going to have a great team. So I was happy to do either. So it was totally Tony Vermeer's decision. I was in Australia, so I kind of stayed out of it. But, I'm definitely pleased with the opportunity to do High Limits. And, I don't know, as the season's getting closer, I'm sort of starting to get excited and looking forward to it.
And of course, the big deal with this year and next year, of course, is you need to be top 8 in the point standings in order to get one of the High Roller Club memberships, one of those franchise positions. And there's a lot of talk online, will this team be able to do that? And to me, I don't even think it's a question. I think that you guys are no problem going to be in the top 8 in points for the next 2 years. You've got so much experience over the years of being a full-time outlaw and running so many of these tracks that we're going to. Are you confident in your guys' abilities as well to get into that top 8 in points for the next 2 years?
Yeah, obviously, the confidence is there for that. But, the reality is it's sprint car racing. It's February. We're just going to take one step at a time. You've got to hit the track running. We've got to be quick. We've got to qualify well. We've got to finish races. So there's a lot of things to put in place before we get too concerned about where we're going to end up at the end of the year in points. But, like I said, the team's done a great job in preparation. Ty's brought a great ethos from where he worked before. And, you have lofty goals and high expectations. So we're just going to hit the track and see what we can do.
Kerry, before we went live and started recording, I heard you talking to our producer, Tyler Burnett. You just talked about how it doesn't matter whether you're racing in Pennsylvania, back home where you're at right now in Knoxville, back where you're really from home, Australia. It's good everywhere. The competition is good everywhere. Do you credit that to anything? Do you think there's a reason that sprint car racing is at such a high level competition-wise right now?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I feel like the last 5 years, probably with Flow Vision, Dirt Vision, just the popularity of the sport, between all the vendors and suppliers, engine builders, there's no secrets anymore. And everywhere you go, be it PA, Australia, California, all them teams, they're all professional teams. They've all got full-time people. So there's just no shortcuts, which makes it challenging when you do travel a lot, because everywhere you go now, there's no, we can go here and it's a little easy, right? It's just, I'm going back to Perth next week to race, and I expect it to be super tough there. I just come from Warrnambool, the Classic, where it was crazy. We're going to start up in Bike Week in Volusia, so it's just that hard, and that just shows how on your game you have to be anymore. It's just to be doesn't matter where you go, but to be at the front of the field, it's a team effort, and just I don't know, it's hard.
You kind of answered my next question. You guys, you said you're going back to Perth to run a couple races over there and then showing up to Bike Week with the Outlaws. Is that the only pair of races you guys will run before Vegas, or are you going to follow them back a little bit through Alabama and that swing there? Or are you guys going from Volusia straight over to Vegas?
The plan is to start up at Bike Week and then run back over to Vegas, yes. It's a very nice little pre-season for us to gel with the team, and I haven't actually worked with Tyler yet at the racetrack, and so that'll be just nice little, I don't know, I'll call it pre-season for us, and hopefully hit the ground running in Vegas. Absolutely.
Kerry, you've obviously been racing over in the States for a very long time. I guess I didn't even put it together that if you were in a Warrnambool and now you're back here in Knoxville talking to us, you're going back to Perth tomorrow, you said, to run out there for a few nights. And I think you mentioned the Cricky brothers, the Cricky boys shootout is going on. out there. Well, that's a car that you used to drive. Now Dane Kingshot's in it. That's a crazy opportunity that he's getting because things didn't work out around COVID and you had to go and stay out of Australia. Who in the U.S., I don't know if you even keep an eye on things like this, but who in the U.S. do you think is kind of like making the most of a good opportunity like Dane Kingshot is doing with Cricky? Do you think, or does anybody come to mind here in the States of a young driver who's making the most of an opportunity like Dane did when your situation got impacted by outside circumstances?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I'd have to say a lot. I mean, there's a lot of young guys coming up now, and they're also prepared because they've got to do so much racing and they're young, from young, where it used to be you didn't really get to start racing until later. So I feel like there's a lot. I mean, I can't think of one per se, probably because there's so many.
Kerry.
Yeah, no doubt.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. No, I agree with him. And, Dason personally gets a great opportunity with Book last year and gets on the 410 scene and runs with high limit. But no, I agree with you. I think there's so many young kids that it's probably super tough to put your finger on. That's honestly kind of what I expected you to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy how prepared these young guys are when they get in the car now. But, saying that, if you're going to be around for a long time, it's just weird for me because all you ever wanted to do was race a car. And when I started, you're going to be in your 30s before you even got near a ride. Now it's kind of swung back the other way. So I can't imagine just spending some of these opportunities at such a young age these guys have got. So, I don't know. I'm not envious, but I'm still I'm still racing. Definitely appreciative of the opportunities I've had, and I just love racing sprint cars. But it's curious to see how long these guys get these opportunities at such a young age. If they're going to be around a long time, or just sort of race for a bit and be done. But there's definitely potential for them guys to race, at least 20 years. So we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kerry, we talked about Ty Wolfgang already. He's going to be the crew chief of the Vermeer car this year. But I feel like an underrated move that not many people talked about that's also going to be on your team is Doug. And, last year, you and Doug before, Hunter, it was Hunter on the Outlaw Tour and it was you and Doug over doing kind of the Midwest stuff. You guys had some really, really strong runs against the Outlaws together. You had a second at Jackson Motorplex, another second during the Knoxville week when there was like 60 cars there. You guys really showed some good speed. How important is it to you to have Doug coming with this team as well? I think he's going to be, technically the car chief, right? But what's that going to be like? And how excited are you to have him after you guys have had some success the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, I can tell you no one's going to outwork Doug. He's definitely pretty dedicated what he's doing, and he's moved out to PA where the car is based, so that just shows you his commitment to the team. It's going to be great to have, a sense of familiarity with Doug. That's got a bit of continuity for me. And, it was just Doug and I. We did everything. So that gets back to what we talked about before with, unfortunately, there's no shortcuts. So I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air for Doug and myself to be in a good team with Ty. And hopefully we can build on what we did do right the last year or two and take that in and, I don't know, work with Ty. And I'm pretty excited. I hope Doug has a fun year.
Kerry, and I'm not looking for any secrets or, I don't want you airing anything out that shouldn't be out there, right? So I'm asking this just from as far back as I can, but what is the call like with Tony Vermeer? Because, you and him have had different stints together in that car, right? As you as his driver. But when he decides, the two of you together decide that, hey, we're going to go chase high limit in 2026 and go after this new series, these big money races, this brand new high roller club that they've introduced. What's that discussion like? Is that Tony Vermeer calling you and saying, hey, you're racing on the high limit tour this year, get ready? Is it you and him having a discussion? Just what goes into picking a series and building a schedule with a car owner?
I don't know. The conversation is pretty simple, really. You just, To be honest, I just really sort of left it up to Tony. I feel like it's Tony's team for me 55. And I just feel like he needed to do what was right for him and his sponsors. I know he was on the fence either way, and what a conundrum to be in, to do one or the Outlaws or the High Limits. So it was easy choice for me. I'm excited to do High Limits, obviously. But it was all relatively pretty smooth. I mean, it's fun working with people from Iowa because, there's no BS. It's all, this is what we're going to do and just get to it. And, pretty simple. Well, it's fun to race when everything's really simple.
Gary, you've been around a long time, obviously, and won plenty of races. There's no doubt about that. What do you make of the landscape right now of the sport? Because, having these two series, having the Outlaws and having Highland, there's just so many opportunities for not only guys like you, but there's opportunities for guys like the regional drivers out there that they can race for more high-paying shows. They can race for $1,200 to start shows more often than we've ever seen before. And I feel like that's kind of spreading the money down more and more to the other teams that are not the national side of things. But give us your honest opinion on everything, because it seems like there's more opportunity. I think that's the word that we're looking for here than ever before in this sport.
I'm glad you brought that up because, last year we would consider ourselves, what Doug and I did, a regional team, and just the opportunity to be based in the Iowa area. And then you have the High Limits, you have the Outlaws, then you have whatever Knoxville do. We have what Houston's did. So you could have done 80 races right there on your own if you're up to it. But to be honest, I don't think there's ever been a better time as a driver, as a fan, just even for the people in the industry. It's just great to see diversification, for lack of a better word. But, we've got so many fans out there, so many racetracks. And now with 2 series, we've got all the pro teams to a full complement of cars in both teams, both series. I don't see how there's ever been a better time for sprint car racing. I mean, it's, I don't know, it's just incredible. It's hard to even get your head around. So it's just exciting to be part of one. Because obviously it's, what's weird right now is, it used to be that if you watched the sprint car race and you weren't racing it, you had FOMO. You felt like you were missing out. Like, oh my God, they're racing. I'm not part of it. But now, there's just so many races, and you race so much yourself. When you're not racing, you're straight on the phone and watch whoever's racing where. It's just incredible. Watch the 360 races of Volusia on the weekend. So it I don't know, it gives you time to be a fan as well. So I don't know. I don't see where there's any negative right now. And, I feel that the sport's handled it very well. Everyone's worked together. So I don't know, exciting times.
Kerry Madsen, you can work in public relations if the driving thing doesn't pan out for you, and I think it's going to. But I love to hear that because you're a veteran of the sport, and I remember the whispers a couple of years ago. They weren't very much whispers; they were louder. There were a few people out there that were quite certain High Limit was going to just ruin the sport of sprint car racing and bring it down to its knees. And I'm glad to hear from someone like you that you think the sport of 410 wing sprint racing has handled it very, very well. I think those are, I think that's a great thing to hear from someone as valued in the sport as you are. I want to switch gears really quick from the sport of sprint car racing, and I was excited to do this interview. I wanted to learn more about you, so I spent a lot of time this morning on CarrieMadsenRacing.com, and I'm on your biography section here. You're about Carrie, and underneath hobbies, guitar is the first thing listed. So I want to know, what are you performing for us in the pits when we get to Vegas this spring?
Probably AC/DC or something. I don't know, something simple. But I'm not very good. It's just a little fun to take your mind off things, and pretty simple when you sit at home with not much to do, just to turn the amp on and make the neighbors angry. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of time for much else. My hobbies pretty much are just sprint car racing, just working on them or thinking around, trying to make the car better. So I don't know. Anything's fun.
Carrie, during your time behind the wheel, you've raced on television, I'm sure, several times. And it was a long time ago when, races were live on TV on a pretty regular basis. We've had some, the Outlaws have been on CBS, but those have been, tape delayed type of races. Next year, I'm sure you've seen it by now. Fox Sports 1 going to be having 6 of the high limit shows on television. How exciting is that? And how big is that for sponsors of the Vermeer car? You yourself, I mean, it's not like, you're 20 years old and we're trying to get your name out there. Everybody already knows who Kerry Madsen is, obviously, but still, that's a pretty big deal to be on TV 6 times next year live on such a big program like Fox Sports 1, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. Just to be able to take that to your sponsors. It just really shows where the sport's going. I'm a motorsports nut, so, how do you say this? I feel like some of the bigger stuff is a little stagnant somewhat, and to see sprint car racing, like, I made a joke a couple of years ago to someone, can't mention the name, but I'm like, we should be bigger than NASCAR. And they're a NASCAR person. They sort of give me a filthy look, but it's great to see us closing the gap, and who knows where it can go.
I mean, I think Ebo Chase agreed with you. I agree. Yeah, I mean, the quality of racing. I've been hanging out here in Charlotte all weekend in NASCAR country. I'm hanging out with a buddy who works in IndyCar, and I swear to you, we've had IndyCar replays on. We put up an old Daytona 500 because we're bored, we're snowed in. But we have had Dirt season 1 and 2 produced by Flo that was on FS1. We've had sprint car races on. We have been watching a ton of dirt trap racing here because they can't wrap their heads around it. They love it. They like actually one of the things they brought up, Carrie, was the guys down here that work in IndyCar. They like how just simple it is and how, like, there's not a lot of frills. There's not a lot of pomp and circumstance to a sprint car weekend. You show up, you get on track, and you go racing. Is that part of what you enjoy about the sport? Is its bare bones nature of just, hey, we're just here to race and that's all we're here to do?
Oh, there's no doubt. It's just so simple. You just get there, get to the track. I say 3:00 in the afternoon, you go race and you leave. So that's part of it. And the cars themselves, they really have remained fairly simple. Obviously everything's getting better as we go. Then the engines are more refined. Everything's way more refined. But the reality is that even if you wanted to bring a team of engineers into this right now, it's still dirt racing isn't a engineering based discipline as we speak, because the grip level changes. There's so many parameters to racing that it's still like, it's still a recipe based thing. It's still like being a bit of a chef. So it's about getting the combination right. So I feel like that's a big reason sprint car racing has stayed where it is. And it's kind of what's kept it grounded. And for all intents and purposes, they are still a very simple car. I mean, team takes 3 to 4 full-time guys to work on it now, as opposed to NASCAR or whatever the other stuff is. But, the reality is, it is still full-time people, and it's still an expensive sport, but not what the other stuff is. And then there's so many, especially in NASCAR, there's a lot of guys that worked on sprint cars that are in NASCAR. And, I'm not sure if they'd love to come back, but I don't know, IndyCar too. So it's pretty incredible to see.
We've already talked about it earlier. You're going back to Perth to run the Cricky Boys shootout there within the week or whatever. What has been the fanfare like? It was announced. I mean, it's been about a month or so since you guys had declared that you would be coming to race with High Limit Racing next year. And when that came out, I was super excited because, year one, we had James McFadden, who is obviously a very popular Australian driver. Last year, we did not have an Aussie that I remember. And then, the Outlaws have Scott Boguski this year. And I think that's great to have an Australian driver on a tour, because then you almost have the whole country on the back of this one guy. What has been like with the fans over there when you went to the Classic, when you go to Perth and all these racetracks? Are the fans coming up to you and saying, "Hey man, we can't wait to watch you with the high rollers this year"?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like I've been downplaying a little bit because we've been down there racing. I don't know, just just wanted to focus on what I was doing down there. But to be honest, I am looking forward to it, and the fans have been fantastic down there. Funny you mention it. I didn't think about the weight of the country on my shoulders, but yeah, absolutely. Everyone down there is going to be, everyone in Australia definitely goes for the Australians. Doesn't matter who it is. There's probably going to be a few more Australians coming over here this year to race, so that'll be tough. But, you know, a lot of people really follow, you know, with their vision and flow vision, and they get the best timing with the time, so they can have a barbecue on Sunday afternoon and watch the race. And so there's definitely a big contingent about people down there that follow everything. And, you know, the fanfare has been pretty positive. So I don't know. I think we'll be right.
I actually, Kerry, I hadn't really thought about it either until Chase's question. So now I think the most important thing that's going to come out of this whole show and what people are dying to know is, with you being, you know, the most prominent Australian racing down here on a national tour, is when you win this year with High Limit Racing, which shoe are you drinking the shoey out of when you get up on top of the car?
I don't have enough boots to do. Hopefully, I don't have enough boots to do that, so I'm not going to do a shoey. But, you know, to get, first of all, we'll try and get one victory, so that'll be nice, and that'd probably be a weight off our shoulders as a team. I don't know. I'll have to try and come up with something cool. I don't know. I'll think of something.
Well,
I think they had a shoey.
Yeah, no shoeys for Kerry, it sounds like. Doesn't have the bits for it. That's I haven't heard that before. No bits. I think I know what that means.
No boots.
I don't have enough booties.
Oh, boots.
Not enough boots.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said bits, and I figured you're talking about something else. But
Kerry, Chase is not very brushed up on his Australian. I'm sorry about this.
In all fairness, I just got back a week ago, so I got to get myself Americanized a little bit, yeah. Because when you go down to Australia, you know, it's you got to be bilingual, American and Australian when it comes to language.
Oh, we know. We figured that out over the last 2 years. It is completely different down there, of course. But I know you've been really busy racing down there. Have you been able to take a look at the schedule for High Limit and really sit down and take a look at it? And if so, what races and tracks are you looking forward to getting to? We know that the Vermeer shop, they moved from Knoxville to near Port Royal Speedway. We raced there 8 times this year. Is that a track you're looking forward to, or are you just looking forward to getting to some new tracks this year, because there's quite a few of those on the schedule as well?
I haven't really looked at the schedule and gone, man, I'm looking at that track, or, oh, not this track. I've sort of looked at it as all right, when am I going to go home? I do kind of think the schedule is fun, that when we're out on the road, you're racing, you know. And when you're not, you can be home or do whatever you want to do. So I've really liked that side of the schedule. But here's the weird thing about sprint car racing. I know that with the tracks you really look forward to going to sometimes don't pan out as well as you want. And then some of the tracks you're like, man, I wish that track wasn't on the schedule. And you go there and have the best night. So you just try to keep an open mind. But I don't really have any, I don't know. There's always tracks you don't want to go to and tracks you look forward to, but it's just weird how it just works out, and you go to the worst track you hate and just have the best night or win the race, and suddenly you like it. So who knows?
Hey, Kerry, just really quick, jumping back to the celebration, you know, it's saying you're going to have to come up with something. You should talk to Chase when we get to Vegas, because he does this kangaroo impression that I think would really work for you. I think he's perfected it. And if he's willing to share how he does it with you, Chase, you should show him how to do that kangaroo impression you've been working on for a little while. But Kerry, you've been over in the States racing for a pretty long time now. So this question is probably more about what it was like when you first came over to the States from Australia. But I know when we went down to Australia to do Perth and High Limit International, you're in this new place. You want to sightsee. You want to go around and you want to see the stuff that isn't just sprint car racing. You want to experience the local sports, maybe take in some live music, and you want to experience the area. When you first came over here, or even today, although I don't think it really applies as long as you've lived over here, what stood out as like something with American culture that wasn't sprint car racing that you wanted to or want to go experience and take part in while you're over here in the States racing sprint cars?
Wow, that's a good question. I I think just the people. I love, when I first come over here, I love going out and just hanging out with people and just experience the different culture. I've been from Australia and I think I was just in awe and just the whole, when I come from Australia, the race car scene wasn't, it was more of a weekend hobby level, to be honest. And then you came to America and you just couldn't believe guys were doing this full time. And, you can't used to, at that time, you're like, oh man, look at the rigs. But now that's changed. But, that for me, the whole in Australia, all we see was the movies. So, we know the Hollywood side of the USA. And then when you get here and you see the whole Midwest and just, I just loved the everything's a little slower and just more genuine. I thought, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Australia and I love the USA. I'm a citizen here and I'm from Australia. So, to me, it's all one big blurry world at the moment, but, I don't know. That's kind of what I liked.
Yeah.
Kerry, I would say the biggest news story that came out of 2025 was Donnie Schatz and Tony Stewart Racing parting ways after the Knoxville Nationals. And in the wake of that, you were the guy that had to fill in there for arguably, at least to me, the best sprint car driver I've ever personally seen in Donnie Schatz. You had to be that guy to fill in for him and run the rest of the Outlaw season. Just, can you touch on what that was like, getting that phone call from TSR and having to do that and fill some, I would say, pretty big shoes, for the rest of the year?
Yeah, obviously that's not something you're expecting to hear that kind of news. But for me, I'd done a little stint with TSR in 2021. And it's by far one of the best sprint car experiences I've ever had, was to get to race for TSR. So, for the opportunity, obviously you jump at it because, I just can't put into words how great an organization that is and everyone there. So, what an opportunity. And it's just, I really, had a lot of fun. It was just great to get to finish the year with them guys and do a good job for them. And, obviously they're going to be my competitor this year. So we'll be taking the fight to them. But, everyone should get that opportunity to drive for such a dream team like that once in a career.
Kerry, I love that Chase brought that up, and I've talked to like Zeb Wise. I did an interview with Zeb Wise about this topic 2 years ago. And I'm always interested in every driver's perspective on this topic in sprint car racing. Not exclusive to TSR and not specifically Donnie Schatz, but him and that moment as like one of many that you've probably been through. Sprint car racing is like high-speed musical chairs. One guy is done in a car, another guy fills in, takes over that ride full time, helps out, whatever, right? You guys are swapping race cars and trading seats all the time. When that stuff goes on, it's most always a business decision, just like the TSR one was for you and taking over that car from Donnie. What does that do to the relationship between the drivers? And again, I'm not speaking specifically about this instance with you and Donnie Schatz, but when you have gotten into other cars, what does that do to your relationship?
That's a good question. You know what? When you're on the wrong side of it, I'd be lying if, you don't, you're not supposed to take anything personal, but who doesn't? Everyone's human. And you know what? Like, I personally don't really like jumping around. I like to be in a team and work together, but unfortunately these things happen, and I kind of have a rule now. Like, I don't really get too far down the road long term in sprint car racing, because things do change very quickly in this game. And, there's a lot of things that happen. Obviously there's a lot of things going to happen this year. Not everything goes to plan. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's hard. When you get a great opportunity, it's exciting and you look forward to it. And then when the shoe's on the other foot, you got to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and go again.
Kerry, the final question of the show, and maybe the most important question of the show. Every year at the High Limit Racing Banquet, there's so many awards that are given out. Obviously, the top award is whoever wins the championship. Now, I'm not going to ask you about that. I'm going to ask you if this year, when you're traveling around, will you, number one, have a t-shirt trailer with you, and number two, will you have a dog on the road to go for Dog of the Year award on the High Limit Racing Tour? Is that going to happen? Do you have a dog you're going to bring out on the road with you?
We've got a dog. I don't know if I can bring him on the road because he's like an angry little Pomeranian, so he woofs a lot. But he'll probably, whenever I can bring him to Tampa, he'll come out and hang out the races.
That never stopped us from bringing Chase out on the road. He's kind of like our angry little Pomeranian. And just so you know, I will clear the air. There is not a Dog of the Year award. That is something Chase.
I'm going to get a trophy for it.
To hand out.
There will be a trophy for it this year. I'm going to make one. Okay, so Kerry, keep that in mind. There's no cash prize, but there will be a trophy. Okay, so if you want to bring out the Pomeranian,
okay.
What's the Pomeranian's name? So just so we know.
Well, he's a rescue. His name's Puff, but I wanted to change it, but Puff's his name. He knows it, but he's a cool little dog. I never would have dreamed I'd like a Pomeranian, but he's a lot of fun, makes a lot of noise and fun to play with. And it's just, like a little, like when you're on the road or you get home and you just a little dog come and hang out with you. It's just weird how little things make such a big difference in your life.
Yeah, no doubt. So maybe the Pomeranian could be Dog of the Year if we see it enough on the road. I think he needs to make it to at least half the races to qualify for the award. But Kerry,
there's no award.
It's been great catching up with you here. It has been great to have you on the High Limit Room, and we are very excited to see you this year with High Limit Racing. Can't wait to see you down there in Las Vegas. Good luck out in Perth, and good luck down there at Bike Week at Volusia. And thanks for jumping on the show today.
Right on, lads. Thanks for having me.